So tell me about a time when you remember, whether it be a crossing over a reading or a cycle. I know you don't remember them, but is there one that stands out for you, or has there been one that someone has brought up with you which perhaps made you feel good about, you know, helping them and believing in everything that you do?
Okay. I'd have to say when I do a suicide crossover, because 95% of the time they don't leave a note, and obviously, you know, the people that are left behind, they have a massive, like, you know, string of guilt, you know, oh my God, why didn't I see the signs? Why didn't I do something? Why didn't I this? Why didn't I that? And to be able to tune into and speak to the spirit, and they obviously pass on messages as to why they did it, pardon me, that type of thing, that gives the person a lot of closure. But just trying to think, actually.
Does the spirit of the person who committed suicide, do they tell you, or do they take you to the scene? What happens?
Yep, a bit of both. I'll admit I've seen some pretty horrific things, and that I've actually had to stop a few readings because I've nearly vomited myself. Spirit will do that. They will take me up to the time of their passing, and they will let me witness it. It's like I'm standing in the room and I'm watching it. So I will be honest, I have been in the room where someone has actually blown their head off, and I do remember this. And I could. It's like I described the floral carpets on the floor, and when I described the floral carpets, they're like, yes, you know, that was in the room, and I could feel the, you know, the anxiety, the emotion in the room with the person, and I could see them sticking the, you know, the gun in their mouth, and I heard the shot. I could smell the gunpowder, and to be honest, I felt the warmth of the, obviously, blood and everything hit my face, and that was, yeah.
And then how do you, and you say that the victim takes you there, but how do you snap out? Do you just come back into, I guess, come back into your body, or?
Basically, I'll say to the spirit, I don't need to see all that, if you know what I mean. But again, you got to look at it in the sense that they're obviously trusting me and respecting me enough to show me that, if that makes sense. And when I do tune in, I've got no idea what I'm saying. So I'll always warn someone that, you know, whatever comes out, comes out. I am always open and honest. I can swear in my readings as well. If a spirit swears, I'll swear. If they talk like that or act like that, I will, you know, I'll move like that and I'll talk like that. Same deal. So basically, it's like they almost step into me and I become them. I'm just the microphone.
How does your family cope with what you do?
Okay, this was a big thing. I remember actually telling Mum, and I remember it was Mum's birthday. We all went out for tea, and oh my God, how do I do this? Do you know? And the biggest thing was telling my husband, and he's very skeptic. He's scared of it, so he has nothing to do with this line of what I do. That's my job. That's what I do, if you know what I mean. I try not to bring it home with me. So, yeah, with Mum, I just remember I waited for Dad to go out and have a smoke. And I said, Mum, do you watch the show Medium? And she said, yeah, why? And I said, well, I'm like her. And she's like, what do you mean? And I said, well, Mum, I actually see dead people and I can talk to them. And I could see the look on her face, and I think she just rolled her eyes and she, whatever you do, don't tell your father, if you know what I mean, because she didn't want him mocking me or whatever. But I do remember when I first started, I was actually selling readings on eBay, and I used to sell a few other things as well. And I get a phone call one morning from Mum. She goes, did you tell your father what you did? And I'm like, no. And she said, oh, okay. He's just looked at your eBay and come out and said to Mum, you know, do you know Donna does readings? And she said she just fobbed it off. So, and he was actually fine with it. He ended up being one of my I used to call him my #1 fan. You know, whenever I was on the radio or newspapers, he'd cut out the clippings, he'd listen to me on the radio, and I actually learnt before he passed that he had the gift as well. And that was because I actually went to their house one day and I said, Dad, he said, yeah. I said, you've got an old man in your kitchen. And he goes, yeah, I know. He goes, don't you get rid of him, he's me mate. And I'm like, really? And I started talking to him and he started opening up, but then he started closing back down again as well. So I thought, okay, I'll just leave it there. So it does run in the family. It comes from Dad's mum, which I learnt when I started to open up. She actually passed when Dad was very young, and she ended up in a mental institution. And I remember, I never met her. I remember hearing her voice saying, "See, you've got the gift too. I wasn't crazy." And I thought, oh my God, how bad it must have been for her to have that. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, and I've done it. I've been to the doctor and I've said I've got these voices in my head, and I just watched him sit there and write a prescription for either antidepressants or something. And I got really angry, and I said, no, I don't want to take pills for it. And basically he just said, well, I can't help you then. So I get a hell of a lot of people come to me today that as soon as they pick the purple crystal, I know that's it. They've got abilities. And again, going back to my book, all the signs and symptoms are in there. They're very similar to depression. And I thought I was going through severe depression. But when you get that, you know, the palpitation and the anxiety, all that, I put that down to spirit presence now. Your ears can start ringing. You can feel like they're full of water. Your eyes change. You smell things differently. Your taste changes, everything. And you just feel really, really odd. You just feel like you don't belong anywhere. Paranoia is one big thing. You know, oh my God, everybody's looking at me, if you know what I mean. That type of thing. And you just become really, really paranoid. But once people know that, when I say to them, no, you're not suffering depression, you're not suffering from mental illness, you're not schizophrenic, you're not this, you're not that. What's happening is you're opening up spiritually. And I'll tell them, you know, all the symptoms, and they're like, oh my God, and they feel 100% better. And I'll always say to somebody, if you're concerned, by all means, go and see your GP. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a medical doctor. If you're concerned, yeah, go and see your own doctor about it. But the majority of them are on antidepressants, and they're just making it worse, if anything. And it's like, I can't drink alcohol. It affects me really, really highly. I can't take any drugs. I can't take anything because I'm super sensitive to everything. And that can happen too when you start opening up spiritually. I'm allergic to foods that I could eat. Now I'm allergic to them. Basically, I'm allergic to everything, if you know what I mean. So I've just got to learn to deal with that. And a lot of people are going through the same thing. It's like more and more men as well are starting to open up to it. I'm getting a lot more men at my shows and for personal readings as well, which is quite good. Yeah.
And does your work follow you home? Do you ever do a reading?
Occasionally.
And someone maybe a spirit might follow you home?
I remember one experience actually when I was with my husband, and we'd gone into town, and we actually parked in the underground car park, and I felt a woman get in the back seat of the car. I just felt her just step in, and you could smell the perfume. And Darren actually got out. I stayed in the car, went and got what he had to do, and did what he had to do, come back and sat in the car, and he goes, "Did you just put perfume on?" And I said, no. And he goes, "God, what is it?" And I said, "Do you really want me to tell you?" And he said, "Yeah." I said, "Oh, we've got a woman visitor in the back seat." He goes, "Well, tell her to get out. She fucking stinks." So, things like that. A lot of them can be quite